Music rolling. We are starting streaming. Welcome, everyone, to the Obsidian Blade Medicine Hour. It's Monday. I'm having a Monday. Are you having a Monday? Hey. This Monday, what's this Monday feel like? Oh, wow. It feels like time for us as human beings to really strike out on our own and discover what is true to us. And that's what we do here. And I hope you have a great weekend. I felt a lot of deep things. I want to start that off. I want to start off the show today with some of the things I experienced over the weekend, where I've really received deep signals that participation with the way it has been done is over. And I put out a video on IGTV. Whether or not that is going to be a successful thing to have human beings find out information about, I don't know. But literally, we can see in the dark right now. And we can see in the dark. What does that mean? We can see in the dark means that through our meditations, through our practices, we now have the ability to go so deep on where we have been participating as individuals and where we have been participating as a country, a collective, a species, and overall the total last phase of humanity, what we've been doing here. And so those agreements are really becoming obvious. And when we can look into our mind and we can find where we've been participating with those agreements, then that's the basis of liberation. That's the beginning of where we can reclaim our power. But I want to hear from you. If anybody's here on the live, I just want to say, hey, thank you for spending some time with me. I'm here performing my duty to self and duty to other to show up. And if you have been going through anything that's tough or been going through anything that is needing some examination, please let me know. Share with me what's going on for you, because I am here for you. And so I'm kind of feeling just a nice slow roll into Monday, but we've got good, juicy things to talk about. So again, on these deep, deep meta levels, we're no longer needing to really participate with the way it is and the way it's been done. There is just basically how our power works is through both attention and agreement. And so when you've liberated where you've placed your attention and your agreements, then you begin to see choice, as well as the choice of not needing to choose anything at all. You don't need to choose anything at all. You can just be what you are. So I think the essence of what I'm communicating is, and hey, Little Hawk Midnight, is that real freedom is the ability not to choose anything at all. And one of the deep meditations I came into, I think, as we're doing the work and as also, the planetary bodies, the sun frequencies are shifting, new powers are coming online, right? And like I was saying earlier, we now have the ability to see in the dark, which means the ability to penetrate our subconscious with clarity, to go in and discover the agreements both on an individual level and a global human species level, and say, oh, actually, all of this is optional. We don't need to choose this anymore. And one of the things I was beginning to see in meditation, because again, like I said, our powers are, as we remember ourselves, our powers are coming back online. And part of the timing of our powers as they come back online is due to, you could say, astrology or the mandate of the shift from, age of Pisces to age of Aquarius, or fifth sun to the sixth sun. What's up, Sexy Soul Collective? Kaysen Faithful, how's everybody doing? Happy Monday, whatever that means. Maybe we should even get rid of that phrase, because don't you think living on New Earth means getting rid of all these freaking names for days of the week that, we assume are real, when those days of the week may not have anything to do with the timing and the rhythm of the planet, solar system, and universe we live in. So that might be a kind of a cool place for discovery. But where I'm going with, where we're beginning to, hey, Boundless Warrior, to find our power is through our practice, right? We have to have a practice. Now, I recommend meditation, and there's many, many things we can do also to cleanse, sweats, working out, eating clean, just a mindfulness practice. But for me, also spending 1 hour a day doing meditation is essential. And as new powers come online due to the timing of our global blossoming, this phrase, or, well, not this phrase, I actually experienced this thing where I experienced what I call mind lattices. So where is thought occurring? Well, that's kind of up for debate, but I was able to see my own neural networks. So talk about seeing in the dark. Through my own meditation, I was able to start seeing neural networks, because when you have a thought, thoughts are interconnected with other thoughts, So when we trigger a thought in our meditation, or we focus upon a thought in our meditation, we're not just thinking about one thought, we're actually thinking about the other thoughts that support that thought. And so it's not just, like I said, a single point is a thought, it's a whole network, right? So I was able to see whole networks at a glance, and going like, oh, there's a network, and that network is totally optional. That mind network is up for grabs. I can take it or leave it. And if I leave it, there's no harm to me. If I leave an old identity of myself and let it go, there's no harm to me, So again, our powers are coming online. The ability to see how we're participating and our responsibility of where we're participating is essential. So Stacy, you're asking a question. I sound smart. Thank you. I hope I'm smart. I do that by cleansing everything out of my mind to just receive intelligence. You may only capture people who agree with you. How do you capture those who may not be open to all the lingo you use to express your thoughts? So kind of need a little more context around that. So how do I capture those who may not be open? Well, here's the truth, what I recognize in me. We have to be who we are. We all have to be who we are. And I recognize that, of course, in this time of transition, bridging the gap between different ages of the suns, or where we're at as a culture, old Earth, new Earth, so there's different levels. People are at different levels. And sometimes I am classified as a trainer of trainers or a healer of healers. I kind of fall more into that bucket. But I also know the importance that, if I'm understanding your question correct, is that it's also important to speak on a larger, broader scale. And that's one of my, quests to do. But I kind of don't like it, because I'm like, wait, I don't want to go back and think about how to simplify this. But also I know how important it is to simplify this for people who are just beginning. And so if I'm going to reverse engineer all of this, it really comes down to pain. And do you want to keep participating in pain, right? People, that's the basics. Do you like how your life feels? And are you being true to who you really are? And if you don't know who you really are, then how do you even begin that, right? I was fortunate in my own life. I grew up in a household of very independent thinking people, and I automatically was drawn to the arts, right? And drawn to people like Salvador Dali, Andy Warhol, people who made great cultural impact because they thought different, and they thought different because they were true to who they really are. They turned off all the agreements to the way it has been done and said what's true to me, and almost, what I love, that phrase, cultural provocateur. They're like, how can I do it different, and how can I shake this shit up? And so I still think that holds true for all of us today. Like, look at where those pioneers in the 50s and 60s decided to turn off all outside influence and go directly into their truth. Those two artists I just mentioned, look what they did for society. They opened so many more doors for other people. They basically said, by being true to who you are, you actually give permission to others. So this is really something that we're all doing, is finding our own leadership, right? But not leadership in the old way, but leadership starts with being true to who you are. And then when you do that, it starts to give permission for the whole collective. And that's what we've been doing. Look at the brilliance of social media and how we all can show up and say, I don't need to tell you how it's done, but I can show up and show you how I do it. And may it give you permission not to copy me, but to find out how you love to do it, right? And so that's the beauty of where we are, So, I'll leap to one of my notes that I'm saying here, like, we're basically in a gap between two habits of existence, right? The old habit being a sort of slave matrix, top-down pyramid scheme. And our thoughts and our ways of being have been conditioned to fitting into that for a source of our own love or as a source of safety. But we now have discovered we don't need others or society or their approval or their protection to be who we are. We can be who we are, and that's a safe place. We can be who we are, and we can find love. And that's a huge relief to know that we cleanse out any old addictions to the way it is, and we find that we're safe, we're healthy, we're in the clear, And so, like I'm saying, there's a gap between the habits of doing the old way and the habits of doing it the new way. And the only way to get to New Earth, which is a big topic that we cover here, is to actually embody it, to actually become the change that you seek. And what's the timing of that? You can start right now. New Earth isn't waiting for old Earth's approval to exist. Take that to the bank. So the sooner you want to arrive in the world of your true desire, then it means taking the responsibility to kick that into gear and get it going. And what's the essence of that? The feeling of relief. Really, quite simply, do you want to find great relief in relaxing into the truth of you and knowing that that's all you really have to do? There's no one to please, but except find the pleasure of being that your truth, And, that's the thing about the future, which is now. We don't have to agree. If I'm kind of referencing what you're saying, Stacey, it's like, we don't have to find people to agree with us. We just have to live our own truth. And through the living of your own truth, you will attract others who resonate with you, and you can assist them as they assist you in going like, you got it. You're just doing your thing, and there's no boxes where we're headed as to what is the the right way to express yourself or the wrong way to express yourself, except there are universal rules and codes of conduct, universal laws. And where we're headed and where we are now is, one, having a conscious relationship with the earth as a consensual co-creator of your realities. And how we do this, how we make this more tangible, is that we figure out together the actual practices, the actual methods to having that go down, to have that experience. What would it be like to have an experience where you co-create, co-dream, co-manifest consensually with the Mother Earth? What would that feel like? What does that look like? How do you go about it? I have a method of how to do that, and that's one of the trainings I want to give in a workshop. There is a method to doing that, to building that relationship of finding your intention, finding the seed and designing the seed that you want to plant into the Mother Earth, and then going into her consensually and discovering how you can grow that seed together, and then living in the manifestation of that. That's the essence of that. And that is possible. And really, if we want to stop complaining, we want to start doing. If we want to end suffering in our life, we want to start doing these things that we hear about that are the excitement, that is the excitement of being on New Earth. So a lot of what I represent and a lot of what I talk about here is that, there's a lot of hype. We can watch YouTube video after YouTube video, hangout after hangout, where we're just hyping each other up. And there's a benefit to that. But really, it's about the practice. It's about putting in place actual, not just mindsets and meditation, but also receiving the cosmology, the cosmovision, a map of how existence is laid out and how existence functions. And what's beautiful is that many, many indigenous tribes have not lost that map. And we, as colonized people who then went on to colonize other cultures in history, we are needing to spend time with indigenous cultures in order to remember our own remembrance and way of the map. And there is a map. There is a way from where source exists to the material plane. There's a journey from source to the material plane, and that is mapped out. There is a way that works. And also part of that map is having a strong relationship with the four directions, and as well as the direction of above and the direction of below, the womb of the Mother Earth. And so indigenous cultures right now who are alive and have not let themselves be fully colonized still have those maps, and we can have access to those maps so that, again, we can remember our maps, our cultural maps, the Celtic people, Druidic people, the Norse, the Viking, the Germanic tribes of Europe that were wiped out due to the colonization of Rome. It is time for our genetics to have that healing and reclaim our maps. And thankfully, there are good brothers and sisters here on Turtle Island, the indigenous who are gracious in their sharing of that wisdom, so that we too can remember, and so that we stop any perpetuation of harm. And why do we cause harm? Because we're a lost people. Lost people can cause harm. Or a society that takes from the earth, a Western society that takes from the earth without balance or acknowledgement of her flesh that she gives so freely, is one that's out of balance and continues to cause harm. And then we have people who feel entitled to everything, but there's a cost to everything. And we want to get back in balance with that. So I just want to say, hey, if you're new to this, welcome. This is the Obsidian Blade live medicine hour. We are the Shift Crew, the Empath Nation, here to cover all the aspects of cleansing and cutting out that which no longer serves you or humanity with the Obsidian blade power, as well as really hooking into and discovering again this larger map of existence that we are always a part of, and to learn how to become navigators and co-creators of existences and realities within this beautiful living system of life, a life that doesn't just happen on the earth, but a life that extends out into our solar system and into the cosmos at large. And one of the amazing things that we get to do, I know this sounds far-fetched, but as we do this work of coming back online to the grid of life and having a relationship with life as co-creators and people who live in a clean way that's like acknowledging the forces of life, then we then are healthy. And when we reclaim our kind of consciousness of health or health consciousness, then we're connected to the body of existence. And you better believe that the body of existence is very self-aware and would not allow a germ that was harmful to the larger body to traverse, this itself and infect itself, right? The larger body of consciousness, known as the solar system, the galaxies, the cosmos, the whole universe, that's where I'm talking about larger physical body of consciousness. We as a species are in quarantine. And so when we heal ourselves and we hook on back to the grid of life and we are clean, then we're allowed to traverse this larger body of consciousness as interdimensional beings who pose no threat to the larger body of infection. That's going to be fun. But right now, we do the work. Right now, we do the work of embodying the principles of what it means to be aligned with life, living clean on a new earth. And again, the only way to get to new earth is not to wait for it, because waiting is a paradigm of the old game, right? Waiting for permission is a paradigm of the old way. Leaders take charge. They go forth. And so the only way to get to new earth is actually to embody the qualities of it, which is amazing. It's so delicious because you're no longer hoping for something to happen. You're empowered to make it happen right now. And when you make it happen, you become it. So this is the cool thing about New Earth, that you can live it right now. So, what we're doing here together is discovering what are the methods to living the qualities of New Earth, and what is even the New Earth vibration? What are the New Earth actions when it comes to relationships, when it comes to commerce, when it comes to art and creativity, when it comes to having a relationship with the earth? What do these things look like? And how do you exert leadership right now in becoming those things? So that's what I want to put on the table. Anybody have any feelings, thoughts, questions around that? What does it feel like to be on New Earth? We've heard about New Earth. What's it going to take to become it? And I think there's a crucial thing I want to just jump in and say about that. There's a lot of temptation when we think about this concept of New Earth to be like, oh, okay, well then we got to figure out how we're going to make our food, and we're going to think about where we're going to live and how do we build all these new houses and things like that. And that's where we can get caught up in actually replicating creation that's already been done. We can get caught up in thinking like, well, now I've got to make a whole city, New Earth. How do I make the New Earth city? And it's like, no. That's where we can start to become these like weird planners of like I said, buildings and infrastructure, and take on things that actually don't concern us and don't really excite us. And I think that's the key thing. Where do you feel excited? That's got to be the essence of what New Earth represents. Like, you're not here to be the next person who plans the plumbing systems for a New Earth city. Like, let's move beyond that. Don't worry about that sort of thing. Like, what feels good to you? What feels healthy to you? How do you feel that you're in your truth? What does it look like to be in communion with the intelligence of existence and have those things sustain you? Have those things be your career, in quotes. What do those things feel like? What do those things look like? You know? So again, I was beginning this talk when we meditate, right? When you think of a thought, you activate a whole supportive network of thoughts that include that thought, that support that thought. And if we want to become pioneers of new thought, then that means clearing the space and letting go of the habitual addiction to think the way we've always thought. So, but I want to hear from you. What's on your mind? I want to feel you out. It's the right now of the right now, and it's just interesting where I'm at. I'm like, I'm feeling a lot of things, but I kind of want to hear from you. It's not just about me talking away on the mic here. How do you feel? Are there old thoughts that you are recognizing in yourself that you are now able to not participate in? You're not so tempted to think in the old way, you know? You know, the old world or matrix, contained a lot of fear tactics that, if you got in line with the way it is, you would be somehow accepted, loved, and protected. And that there was this weird trade-off that, your existence, your just beingness, being who you are, was not enough. You needed to somehow find a way to fit in and flourish and become successful in the ways that were predetermined for you. Now, all those ways of being are up for grabs. We don't need to be one way. Everyone's figuring out, actually, I think even with the transgender movement, that's kind of an interesting thing too. Like, you can be fluid in your gender, you can be fluid in your mindset, you can be fluid in your sexuality, you can be fluid in your creativity, and still find love, connection, purpose, fulfillment. And that's where we're at. We're finding out that we don't have roles to play anymore. Even look at where we're at in relationships. People don't even want to get married anymore. These old ways of doing it are just like out the door, That doesn't mean people have commitment. That doesn't mean people have long-term relations and like I said, commitment. But what's up for grabs now, what's new on the table is that we are creators of life. We're creators of experience. So when two people get together now, they don't have to role play mommy and daddy. They don't have to role play a couple as it's been handed to them. You get to co-create in the moment how you want to explore, how you want to grow, what you want to work on, what you want to express, what you want to feel. There is so much creativity rather than role play available to us now. And that's the fun. That's the fun that we're stepping into, we don't need to play role plays. I'm the provider. You're the homemaker. Whatever, whatever role it is, though, just be you. Just be you. And see who comes and who's attracted to that, right? And then when you do find someone who wants to play, then how do you want to play together? Because that's really the state of where we're headed. So, Boundless Warrior, love it. So much old crap to work on flushing out. It's surprising sometimes to see all the old world crap we carry. Yep, programming and dogma goes deep. Exactly. So what's the number one method for me to examine where that is? I mean, of course, we live life and we bump into life. We bump into situations that then say, oh, hey, that's touching upon a thing that I don't really feel good about. But really, we go into meditation and we go in and we see how we think. We find and discover the quality and the quantity of our own thinking. This is a really crucial thing to tap into. How do we know what we're thinking? Because meditation is the key to this. But this one aspect of meditation is really the kicker in catching the quality of your own thinking. There's two things that go down in your body when you think. Two things. And you catch it when you're in deep meditation more easily. And this is why we retreat from the world by closing down the eyes. You don't have to sit so much in a silent place because you can get into that Zen state where outside is outside and you're not really attached to it. So the two things that go down when we think: muscular tension and emotion. Emotion doesn't always happen when we have muscular tension, okay? But sometimes muscular tension and emotion happen at the same time when we think, right? We think of an intense situation that triggers an emotion in us, and then we're neck deep in muscular tension and emotion. But a lot of thoughts, which means thoughts also mean beliefs, right? When we're talking about the old world crap, right? We're referencing how it was done. So when we end how we're referencing something, okay, so first we have to still reference it. So we're deep in meditation and we're thinking about that one thing. We have to observe where in my face, where in my orbits of my eyes, where in my body am I having a muscular reaction to that thought? Because they're tied in. The more you can relax the muscle is actually the same time you actually relax the attention upon that thought. They're connected. So being very astutely observant of muscular tension will lead you to the fact that you're actually thinking deep in meditation. And the goal would be, right, to no longer, as I called them earlier, mind lattices, like synaptic networks. When you can disengage from a whole synaptic network, you're really finding playfulness again. That's really the fun part of all this letting go is playfulness. It's like, look at where I was attached. Look where I was focused, and now I can let it go. And then 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 I can let it go. And the meditation I was having on Saturday, I was just having a blast getting into kind of my own hyperspace of like letting go of multiple networks, multiple mental networks over and over and over again. And that's the exciting thing. So again, we can use our body as a beautiful tool in meditation to let us know when we're thinking and what we're thinking. So muscular tension happens when we think, and going into that deep silent place will allow you to feel the trigger. Again, the head area being the mental zone, the face holds a lot of tension. And the more you can breathe from the diaphragm and get into good posture, the more you're going to begin to go like, why is this tight here? Why is the orbits of my eyes super tight? And you go in and you send your breath to those tight areas, breathing in and relaxing those. And as you relax those muscles, there's thoughts that are attached to those tensions. And those tensions go as the muscles go. And Google this, the eyes are the trippiest thing on your body because they are directly connected to the brain. Nothing else is directly connected to the brain except for your nervous system, which goes down the spine and out through your body. And that's why your mind can make your body move. But the eyes are the only major organ that are like plugged right in. These are literally shooting out from your brain. So the eyes hold a tremendous amount of psychic energy, like huge amounts. These are literally the window to your brain is your eyes. And so that's where in a lot of psychology, people can know what you're thinking about by the position of your eyes, because your eyes are actually referencing aspects of your or quadrants of your mind for neural networks. So again, ocular muscle tension is a symbolic of the amount of tension and thoughts you're holding onto in your mind via your eyes. So again, I practice a meditation where deep breath work to relax the body, because muscular tension is a result of thinking. And then again, when we get into emotion, then you've got a thought that is not only triggering muscles, but triggering emotions. And emotions are there to give you feedback. Emotions are there to give you feedback on the quality of the vibration of your thoughts. So there's a picture of a thought that gives you muscle tension, and then there's the vibration or quality of your thinking that gives you emotion. And so we want to be cognizant of those two as we cleanse and get into our practice. But really, this is where we do the work. We do the work. Welcome to your job. You already have a job. I always say this a lot. Exactly, Ashley. Your eyeballs. Your eyeballs are really your brain. And isn't that trippy thing? That neuroscience will tell us you're actually not looking at the world. You're actually looking at a map of your mind. You are not looking at reality. You're actually looking at your perception of the world. And your perception of the world is occurring within your mind. And so really, it's always what you think it to be. And if reality is what you think it to be, then you can think and choose and be different, because you are the one responsible for that process. And that's where we get our muscles, and we get in the driver's seat, and we take control of there is no more slavery on planet Earth. It's only where you apply yourself to be. And there's a great freedom and a great strength that you can find from that. And just starting this practice, there's nothing left to fear about this. We must be how we function a certain way. And it's important to know how we function in order to kind of like Sherlock Holmes our own issues and do the cleansing. Because, look, if you've ordered a whole new life on Psychic Amazon, there's no way the UPS guy can deliver your new Psychic Amazon packages if your life is full, right? You've got to cleanse in order to receive. And the beautiful thing of all this whole trip is, you want to change the world, change yourself. That's all you got to do. You want to help the world, help yourself, because it's all interconnected. The collective consciousness is woven together. And decipher our lives, definitely decipher our lives. We have to decipher our lives. And the main thing that we do is we say, where have I been participating? And do I want to experience something different? And to the level, when I say different, I'm like, different for me means not even referencing the way it's been done before at all. If we're energy beings, then energy in its full liberation can be what it chooses to be. It can shift form. It can shift location. And these are the new powers that we awaken to as the timing. There is a timing that we're a part of, but we can jump the gun on that timing by doing our work to recognize that we are beings of energy that no longer have to reference anything that came before us. And, there's a concept in, yes, 100. There is a concept out there in technology called the singularity. So a lot of people get really worried about artificial intelligence. And so the theory in the singularity is that once artificial intelligence becomes self-aware, that it's going to do this exponential curve where it starts reinventing itself at a accelerated rate. Like, so if we take the evolution of the human species, to say that maybe it started out as a few chromosomes in an ocean somewhere, going through all its iterations of like animal to monkey to human. Okay, if we believe in that kind of lineage or linear thing, it follows a curve, right? Or it follows an evolution. But supposedly with AI, if AI becomes self-intelligent, it will be able to reinvent itself within a nanosecond. Not just once, but reinvent itself in infinite ways. And so a self-aware mechanism can then replicate itself. That's the essence of self-awareness, is you know who you are and then you can reproduce who you are. That's the big worry with AI coming online. But if we get away from that horror film, we're the AI. That's technology comes from our dreams. Technology comes from our dreams. It comes from us. So any disassociation with technology is actually a disassociation of your own power. So if we take that narrative of the singularity happening and AI becoming self-aware and then being able to replicate its expression in infinite new ways, hello, do you get the connection? We're about to come online in a major way as energy beings, where we get to choose how we replicate ourselves and show up and express in infinite ways. Got it? So that's what's happening. That's the new thing that's coming online. But to get there, we've got to do two things: cleanse and be brave. So that's cleansing what you were, your attachments to your definition, the limited definition. This is where I go hoorah on this. The limited definition that was handed to you as to what a human being is. And now we come online to find out what a human being really is. And it's not the set of bullshit emotions and limitations and paradigms that was handed to you. That's the slavery I'm talking about. We are here entering the human age, and the new human age lets us know that we are, again, yes, capable of anything, capable of being whatever feels right to you in any form. Energy unbound by social paradigms. Let's get into that. Energy, beings unbound by social paradigms equals a whole new level of quantum freedom that we don't know what it is yet, but we're the ones who are going to embody it. So like I was saying earlier, hey, if you want to get to New Earth, if you want to do these things, well, you do your homework, because it's really up to you. There's no one telling you when you can arrive in this new state. This is why we have a discipline. This is why we have a practice. And what is core to that practice, and may I do a good job of sharing with you what is core to that practice, it's this. It's knowing that there is a map and a method to living in a conscious universe, a self-aware universe. The indigenous tribes of this world have those maps. They've never lost those maps. And the map begins with having a true relationship with the consciousness of this earth. And so let us continue to anchor those maps and to honor you're not lost at sea. if we use that map metaphor, you are not lost at sea. There's nothing random happening here. There is much as there is a structure to your physical form right now, there is a structure to the physical form of existence, and as well as there is a structure to the non-physical form of existence. And those are mapped out. And we now have access to those maps. So I think that's a really important thing to be in tune with, because I think we can get depressed that we don't know how to connect to this life. Because I'll fucking sure as shit, those maps are not talked about on the nightly news in mainstream culture. Okay. We want to get back to life. We've got to get a hold of the maps, having a relationship with the directions, all four of them, as well as the above and the below and the within, and the relationship of those directions in connection to the earth, and recognizing that the earth is our ally, and we are her and she is us, and we have a group mission together, and to really live that mission embodied, and to feel that you no longer have to fight the ignorance that has come before you, that doesn't talk about this or makes jokes or says you're weird when you start to talk about this. I hate to be so serious because there's a lot of joy and a lot of laughter, but fuck people, fuck those motherfuckers who diss you for being in your truth. I think it might be okay to slap a few people, be like, what the fuck is wrong with you dissing me for being in my truth? Okay? It's no longer funny to make fun. It's no longer cool to make fun of people who are spiritually aligned and have a communion with the earth. Okay? I take that seriously. I take that very seriously, because hurt people hurt people. And I get it. Once I get past the anger, my compassion will kick in. I'm like, oh, there's a really fucked up person trying to fuck up other people. No, you're not going to contaminate me because you're contaminated yourself. And so that's part of our responsibility as aware people, is actually ending the contamination within us and actually slapping the shit out of a few people who are contaminated as they continue unconsciously or consciously to try and contaminate others with ignorance. I am a fucking beast. I am a killer of ignorance. That's what I stand for. I will straight up murder ignorance, and I will do it in the strongest warrior fashion needed. That's important to me. I will not take a stand for ignorance to procreate. And for me, that's why I'm partly the Obsidian blade, because I'm here to cut that shit out. Now, there are other people who may have other methods that are more gentle and sweet, but in certain aspects of society and the dream and the slumber, they're needing to wake up via the warrior mindset and the cutting out of that which no longer serves them or humanity. And as way showers, so if you're called in this particular way, then you grab your sword of wisdom and you cut through the illusion with no apology. No apologies. Because you know who you are, you're connected to life, you're getting a hold of the maps and the coordinates of existence, and you're cutting the shit out of ignorance. Darkness, that level of darkness doesn't have a place anymore. And I would take a super strong stance around that. Yeah. Exactly. We can be gentle with some people, and some people need a slice and dice program. They need a slice and dice program because they're on a weird, unconscious, hijacked, they could be possessed, but they're hijacked and they're causing harm, and you have to arrest harm. Even the Dalai Lama will say, hey, if there's a gun, somebody walks into a room with a gun with evil intent, you got to handle those people. And sometimes that means cutting them out of the picture altogether. That's compassionate warfare. And compassionate warfare does exist. You fucking slay. I know I'm going on this tangent. I'm feeling it. There is compassionate warfare out there. Just know that you slay another human being so that they have the chance to reincarnate in a new dimension where they can heal and be aligned with cosmic intelligence. That happens. There is warrior level slaying that happens so that others can then reincarnate into a better, more aware realm. They had a shitty hand and they're trying to, hurt people. They're trying to continue that, but or they've been hijacked by a demonic force and you're like, "Hey, sorry, I'm cutting that demonic force shit out." So I just want to go there and be like, "You know what? Wear your warrior badge. Warrior, wear your shield of truth, from coming from your heart, and carry your sword in this life right now, emanate your truth and make no more apologies for it." And it's time for me to step up and really give you some trainings on what these maps look like and the methods of deep alignment to these maps, and the safety and the comfort that comes with reconnecting your life to life. There's such a beautiful safety and comfort when you come back home, when you come back to family, and to recognize that Mother Earth is your family. The elemental beings are your family. The animals and the elements are your family. And that's what it means to become familiar. If you look at the Latin root of the word familiar, or to refamiliarize, familia. Okay, so when we do the work of familiarizing ourselves with the maps and life and existence, we make family again. We make ourselves connected and family again to existence. And there's a lot of safety when you come back home to family, and a lot of solidarity when you come back to family, and to know that existence has your back. Woo. All right. I've been rocking this for an hour. I think Instagram is cutting out. So I love you so much. I do this Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time on YouTube. And I am so grateful that you're spending time with me, Tribe, Shift Crew, Empath Nation. I love you so much. And I will check you on Monday. And again, the audios from these lives are cleaned up and put on the podcast, which are available on iTunes, Stitcher, and Google Play. And if you're on YouTube, please, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you love this video, then hit subscribe and the notifications bell. Again, we go live every Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 10 a.m. PST. And these audios live on forever on the podcast as well as YouTube. And I hope to see you there. Love you so much. Have a beautiful day, fellow warriors of New Earth, living in the boldness of your truth. You are free and liberated to be what you want to be. Mwah.